Welcome to today's MacPhail Music Learning Lab Idea Exchange, Developing Your Online Presence. This is one of many professional development offerings of the MacPhail Music Learning Lab. Remember to visit www.macphailmusiclearninglab.org to learn about other workshops, presentations, and faculty events that may be of interest to you. As music teachers, I'm sure all of you have encountered the self-taught student. You know that the results are often less than ideal. I bring this up as a sort of caveat emptor for today's session. I am not a professional in this field, but I've been playing around online, having lots of fun building websites and so on for coming up on 20 years now. Hopefully I've learned a few things along the way, and hopefully you will feel better advised by me in this session than the violinist in the picture ought to feel about the guidance provided by her teacher. The title of this session, Developing Your Online Presence, is intentionally broad to encompass the many different ways you can be present online nowadays. For several years, I've been advocating that MacPhail as an organization and MacPhail faculty members individually stand to benefit greatly from developing distinct and authentic online identities. While MacPhail is no doubt well known and respected in our community, MacPhail's marketing has historically struck me as somewhat monolithic. You might say that the message has been, come and study at MacPhail, rather than come and study with your ideal teacher who happens to be at MacPhail. As you know, Google is the first place folks are likely to go these days when searching for a new anything: mechanic, doctor, plumber, violin teacher. Failing to appear at the top of Google search results for the most used search terms renders you effectively invisible. There are many potential benefits to having each individual faculty member develop a compelling presence online. Teachers could forge more direct and authentic connections with prospective students. Teachers would potentially have more and better matched students. MacPhail's recruitment and retention would get a significant boost. And faculty members would be empowered to develop their individual professional identities, distinct from the MacPhail brand with which they would, of course, continue to be associated. While many faculty members have quietly been developing studio websites, blogs, YouTube channels, etc. for several years, I'm excited to report that going forward, MacPhail will actively support faculty members who choose to develop a presence online. MacPhail teachers will now have the option to link their websites, blogs, YouTube channels, etc. directly to their faculty bio pages on the MacPhail website. Teachers will have to agree to a few simple guidelines, take certain steps to protect student privacy, overtly acknowledge their connection to MacPhail, agree to common sense content restrictions on their websites, and so on. If you have a studio website you'd like to link to your MacPhail bio page, the process can be initiated at www.macphail.org/web-linking. So that's the background to and the inspiration for this session, a vision of a future in which every MacPhail teacher has a compelling and authentic presence online and a direct connection to their particular constituency of students. As you contemplate developing your own online presence, there are 4 key questions I'd like to help you think through today. What facet or facets of your professional identity would you like to promote and enhance online? What form might your online presence actually take? What are the best ways to create an online presence? And how much will it cost? And what specialized equipment might you need to accomplish your online goals? So let's dig into the first of our 4 key questions. What facet or facets of your professional identity would you like to promote and enhance online? As musicians, many of us have several different professional identities. We might be performers, educators, administrators, and a host of other things besides. In order to develop a compelling and effective online presence, I'd like you to take a moment to answer this question for yourself. For the purposes of this discussion, let's delve into 2 of the most common professional identities of MacPhail faculty members. educators, and performers. Do you want to be primarily an educator or a performer, or perhaps both? If you want to emphasize your educator identity, is your goal to better serve your existing students, to reach out to and attract new students, to sell original content like PDF downloads you've created, a book or books you've written, etc.? If your goal is to better serve your existing students, how so? The first area you might focus on is enhancing the day-to-day operation and communication in your studio. Ways of doing this online include making your studio calendar accessible online, providing an online contact form for students to submit cancellation and makeup requests via a studio website, providing an online mailing list sign-up form if you use a service like MailChimp to manage your studio mailing lists, regularly posting important studio news and updates on an online studio bulletin board, automating lesson scheduling using a tool like Acuity Scheduling. That's at acuityscheduling.com, and I'll talk more about that a little later. Coordinating studio events like studio recitals through your studio website. Spelling out your studio policies on your website to provide clarity for student families and to minimize unnecessary questions. I'm sure you can think of many other possibilities here. Learning resources is the second key area that you might enhance for your existing students by going online. You might do this by curating and organizing existing online learning resources for your students. An example would be creating a library of the best YouTube videos you've found, organized by topic. If you're feeling more adventurous, you might also consider creating and sharing original content to be used by your existing students. Examples here might be creating tutorial videos, blog posts, PDF downloads, or other material that would help support your students' learning. If you'd prefer to limit access to your original content exclusively to existing students, it is possible, for example, to select YouTube video settings that prevent your videos from being accessed by the wider YouTube community, or to create password-protected pages on a website or a blog. If, rather than focusing on current students, you would prefer to direct your attention to attracting new students, you might describe your teaching, background, and experience, spell out the reasons why your studio should be considered over the alternatives, showcase your work with video clips, celebrate the successes and achievements of your students. Or perhaps you'd like to create and share compelling original content with the wider world, like YouTube tutorial videos or blog posts, that ultimately lead to students seeking you out as their teacher. A third approach might involve promoting and selling original educational content online, like a book or books you've published, PDF downloads you've created, CDs you've recorded, or music you've composed. This can be a powerful way of enhancing your professional credibility, resulting not just in additional income, but perhaps more importantly, drawing new students to your studio. Perhaps you'd prefer to focus your online efforts on promoting yourself as a performer. Going online is a great way to advertise your performances to prospective audience members. Many artists grow their audiences by sharing their music online via audio downloads or online videos. The internet is also a perfect place to sell CDs, music downloads, and merchandise. A website and some YouTube videos can also serve as a great online portfolio of your work for prospective employers or folks who might like to hire you to play. So to wrap up our first key question, those are some of the many ways in which you might choose to enhance your online profile as either an educator or a performer. Now that we've clarified which identity you'd like to promote online and have lots of ideas for doing so, let's move on to key question number 2 and discuss the many forms an online presence might actually take. The most obvious approach would be a website. A website can range from something very simple, just a single page that acts as a sort of online business card, to something much more complex, many different pages woven together by a sophisticated set of navigation menus. For example, think about the MacPhail website with its drop-down menus and dozens of different pages dealing with all of the things the organization does. Blogging is another popular approach to creating a presence online. Unlike the more static approach of a website, a successful blog requires a steady stream of new content. A blog is essentially like your own publishing outlet. Write good posts regularly, and you'll soon have lots of like-minded folks subscribing to your blog. While a blog is comprised of written content, often enhanced with photographs or other illustrations, its cousin, the vlog, is a video blog. In other words, instead of written posts, the vlogger creates and publishes online videos. The most common approach to vlogging is to use YouTube to post your videos, thereby tapping into the enormous YouTube user base, while also embedding your videos and any additional content on a blog website. Of course, many people simply choose to operate their own YouTube channel, which is completely free, works extremely easily, and has the power to reach a vast audience. Done very successfully, there are actually some people who make a living on YouTube. Yes, this guy actually does so by playing video games live on YouTube. Another approach to going online is via social media, like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, etc. Even if you've never really thought about creating an online presence before, it's likely that you already have a personal social media presence. I'll admit that this is a route I have mostly avoided. I'm just old enough to have an aversion to living my life in public, but I realize that that puts me in the minority. It's likely that many of you have learned skills through your personal social media use that could easily be redirected professionally. An obvious example would be creating a Facebook page for your studio or dedicated to the group you perform with, etc. In the end, most mature online profiles consist of more than one of these options in combination. But to start, I would recommend that you identify one specific aspect of your professional identity you'd like to promote, and one means of doing so, whether that be via a studio website, blog, YouTube channel, or whatever you choose. So let's get specific and look at a few examples of what some of our MacPhail colleagues and others are already doing online. So this is Craig Anderson's website. It represents one of the simplest yet most effective approaches to going online. It's essentially a static website. He worked with me to create the site. It was essentially a one-time investment of time to create it. It doesn't require the ongoing creation of new content. He uses it mainly to attract new students and to inform students as they go through the placement process. And he finds it to be a great way of sharing information about himself with students who are considering studying with him or who are already in the placement process. And perhaps the best news of all, this is a completely free website created through the service Jigsaw.com. This is Beatrice Blanc's studio website. Unlike Craig's website, which serves primarily to attract new students, Beatrice's website is very much centered around better serving her existing students. Her homepage includes the studio bulletin board idea with weekly news and updates for her students, and some important studio policy reminders, practice suggestions, resources for Suzuki parents, and much more. Beatrice's calendar and events page further strengthens the administrative side of running her studio, with a link to a complete online lesson calendar, an at-a-glance calendar for the whole school year, and information about studio events, recitals, and so on. Her filing cabinet page is an example of how you might provide enhanced learning resources for your students online. And she has an entire page devoted to resources for parents. Among other things, her contact page includes a contact form and contact information for key people in the MacPhail Suzuki program. Beatrice is one of the first teachers who explored the use of web-based tools to automate lesson scheduling. After much research, she ended up settling on Acuity Scheduling. This is their website, acuityscheduling.com. She uses this tool to fully automate lesson scheduling during the summer session when flexibility is so important. You can actually see that her endorsement has a prominent place right on the Acuity website. This is David Byro's website, thebucketbook.com. This is an example of a website dedicated to selling original content. In this case, his bucket drumming book, the Bucket Book. The homepage includes information about the book and links to purchase it, as well as contact information for David. Other pages on the site include a demo video page and a blog to share bucket drumming tips and ideas that tie in with his book. The Copper Street Brass website is a great example of a beautiful site dedicated to promoting a performing profile, including information about the group's musicians, downloadable press kits, performance schedules, and a store that sells CDs and other merchandise and concert tickets. Peter Ostrushko's site is an example of a website primarily dedicated to promoting Mr. Ostrushko as a performer, while also prominently and very effectively advertising his MacPhail teaching. Other examples of musicians and teachers using the internet include the cellist David Finkel, whose 100 short cello talks on YouTube have generated massive interest, and Abigail McHugh's low-key and very popular YouTube channel featuring cello tutorial videos and Abby's videos tied in with her blog, happilyeducated.com. The cellist Emily Wright at emilywright.net is another wonderful example of a musician and music educator using the internet to connect with prospective students and the wider cello community via her blog, as well as selling original content, including a well-received self-published book. The next thing I'd like to do is just do a quick overview of my approach to going online. So for me, I have sort of three components in my online presence. This is my studio website, and then on the performer profile side, this is my performing website. And then the third piece is quite new. This is a video blog that I started called cellojoy.com, and it is linked up with a YouTube channel. So this is the Cello Joy YouTube channel. So back to the studio website, you can see that I've divided the main navigation somewhat according to those ideas I laid out earlier. So there's a menu with a whole lot of things that pertain explicitly to current students. There's another menu for prospective students. The Resources tab is primarily for my students, my current students, but it is also used by lots of other people in the cello community generally. And then these two links over to the right link off to my performer site or the Cello Joy blog site. To go a little bit deeper on the current students section, let's take a look at my studio calendar page. So here I've got a complete lesson schedule, so students can always see exactly when their lessons are and when openings are available for makeups and so on. And right below there's a contact form, so students can directly from the calendar page contact me to request makeups or communicate cancellations. And scrolling a little further down, you see an overview calendar here. It's something along the lines of what we saw on Beatrice's website also. Another key page for me is my upcoming studio recitals page. I use this to coordinate all aspects of studio recitals. And I also have pages dedicated to student expectations and studio policies. The pages dedicated to prospective students include one for lesson locations and rates. So you can see this talks about my teaching at MacPhail Downtown, gives some key information about MacPhail, and my teaching in White Bear Lake. And then also just information about how to enroll, a link to the page for the cost of lessons, all the kinds of things that a prospective student would like to know. My performer profile page is pretty self-explanatory. It is primarily dedicated to advertising upcoming performances. So cellojoy.com, as I said, is really quite new. I've actually played around on YouTube quite a lot in the past, but I haven't been especially happy with the video quality or the audio quality. I decided to go all in and get really good audio and video equipment. I'll talk a little bit about that later in order to start this video blog. And as I said, the cellojoy blog or vlog is then linked with its accompanying YouTube channel, which allows me to tap into just the very large number of people who are typically searching YouTube for the kinds of things I'm posting. So hopefully you now have lots of ideas about what you'd like to do online, and you're probably wondering about key question number 3, how to actually go about putting your ideas into action. Let's begin by taking a look under the hood of one of the most popular drag-and-drop website builders, Weebly.com. It's actually not the product I use for my websites, but it is at the forefront of the current offerings. It's constantly evolving, updating, and improving. It is also one of the easiest drag-and-drop builders to use, and now has sophisticated blogging, e-commerce, and even email marketing features built right into it. Unlike WordPress.com, which is also one of the leading products, it's actually what I use for cellojoy.com. The Weebly website templates are all free. None of the features require the installation of additional third-party plugins, and the user interface is very intuitive to use. If I were starting from scratch today with my website or blog, Weebly would be right at the top of my list. So here we are at Weebly.com. I've created an account and we are signed in. What I'm hoping to do is create a basic site from scratch right here. And know that I am not a comfortable Weebly user. This is not my regular interface. So I'm hoping to demonstrate that it is truly easy to use. So I'm going to click here and add a site. So right away the Weebly wizard is asking us what kind of a site are we going to create. Just because we have to choose something, let's go with a business. Let's give our business a name. And on the very next screen, we're asked to choose from the available templates. And you can see the Weebly templates are really beautiful. So let's go ahead and just choose the very first available template here. So you can see our template has loaded. And now it's time to start customizing it. So at this point a pop-up has appeared and it's asking us about options for the address that our website is going to have. At this stage, if you wanted a custom URL, it is a paid option, but if you wanted a custom URL, you could create one, register one right through Weebly on this page. I am going to just go ahead with the free address, which will include Weebly in the URL. And you can see Test Cello Studio is apparently available. Now I'm going to click Continue. The first thing I'm going to try to do is just change the imagery here. If I click on it, it appears to give me the option to edit the background. So let me click that. And it looks like it does that. I'm going to go with Replace. And then I'll choose to upload a photo from my computer. So the selected photograph is uploading, and there it is. So there are some things obviously that are not ideal. My studio website banner has this graphic in it, and that clashes with the navigation menu here. But I'm not trying to build something perfectly polished right now. I just want to, on the fly, give you some idea of the way that this product works and how relatively easy it is to use. So I'm going to click Save here, and there's our graphic now saved as the header image. If I scroll around here, you can see each element kind of lighting up as I scroll over it. There are some options here. One of them includes getting rid of the element. For me, I don't want this here, so I'm going to go ahead and exit out. Same with this menu element. And this one here. It looks like this element may be tied in with existing pages. So the next step I'm going to take is edit the pages. You can see they appear in the main navigation up here. And indeed, there are tabs for each of them here. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can start editing them. First thing I want to do is, I obviously don't have a menu for my Cello Studio, so I'm going to want to change that to something else. Let's go with current students. And I'm going to do the same for each of the other pages. So it looks like I can get rid of these unwanted elements now. And you can see my new page names have appeared up here. I'm not going to create those pages, the content on those pages now, but to do so I would go back into the pages section and visit those pages and customize each one of those independently. Now let's customize a little bit the content on this page. I'd like to delete this component, and I'm going to see if I can replace it with a video. So you saw I went back to the build section so that I can access all of these tiles over here. And very conveniently, they have a YouTube video option. So I'm going to grab that tile and drag it onto the page here. I'll just drop it right here. So my component appears here, and it seems that if I simply click on it, I get the options for inserting the YouTube video URL that I'd like to use. So I'm going to go visit my YouTube channel, and I'm going to go with my most recent Cello Joy video. So here in my video manager section of my YouTube channel, I can grab that URL, just copy that. And then back in Weebly here, I'll again click on the element and paste the URL right in there. And there it is. It was incredibly simple. Again, here's an element that I think I'll rather get rid of. But what I'd like to do is edit this one. And right below here, I'm going to include the information I have on my studio site. And there it is, the information about current openings. So hopefully this will give you just a taste of what it feels like to interact with one of these drag and drop builders. As I said, I really have not used this before. I experimented once with it a very long time ago, when it was less good than it is now. And it really is simple. So you can see over on the left here, there are many tiles here with all kinds of different options for things to insert and so on. It looks like maybe this video needs a title. So yeah, I can really strongly recommend Weebly as a great option if you are looking to build a website or start a blog, or even sell some stuff online. They have really a full range of e-commerce options available on their platform. What I'm using right now is, of course, the completely free Weebly. To get a custom URL and to unlock all of the available features, one would have to go with a subscription. Let's take a look at what that would actually involve. I'm going to go to the upgrade button here. So here we can compare the available plans, and then in the menu down here you can kind of see what options that allows and what the difference is between the more expensive plans. Maybe the free version would do it for you. My guess is that for most people, either the starter or the pro options are going to allow you to do all of the kinds of things that you'd like to do. The other tool I want to explore with you today is YouTube. This is a free online video service with which I'm sure you're already familiar as a viewer. YouTube is extremely user-friendly and gives you the power to tap into an enormous worldwide user base, while also offering settings that limit video viewers to selected individuals or groups, if that is your preference. Many people don't realize that if they already use Gmail or other Google services, they actually already have a YouTube account. If you'd like to set up a new account, the process is very simple and absolutely free. First, we need to visit the address on the screen. So this is the page to create a Google account. I'm not going to go through filling it in. It's self-explanatory, and I already have an account. So let's assume you've created your account, and let's go to YouTube and take a look under the hood. So here I am on my Cello Joy YouTube channel. What I want to do is just show you sort of some of the basic features of YouTube. The first thing is just how easy it is to upload a video. So I'm going to click upload over here on the right. And you can see right away there's an area where I can drag videos from my desktop if I want to upload them. And right below there are 3 settings for YouTube videos. Public, self-explanatory. Anybody in the world can see it when they're searching YouTube. Unlisted means somebody who's searching YouTube for something won't be able to find it. But you will have access to the URL and you can share it with other people. So anybody who has the URL for the video can watch it, but it can't be found by regular YouTube visitors. And then private is truly locked down. Only you have access to it. So for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to select private, and then I'm going to find a video to upload from my computer. So let me just select the last video I made for the Cello Joy account. I click open, and right away the upload process has begun. Now that's going to take some time. You can see here it's estimating the amount of time it's going to take. That's something to be aware of when you work with video. Video files are very large, and it takes time to work with them, to upload them to the internet and so on. But right here I can type a description for the video. If I was going to make it public, I could add tags here to help a person who's searching for it find it. So search terms that I think people might use to find my video, I would enter here. This box up at the top allows me to add whatever title I'd like to the video. I'll just leave it alone for now. For advanced settings, we can find all kinds of other things. Something that might be important to people is YouTube comments. As we know, they can be quite nasty. They can also be very supportive. But you have some control over your YouTube comments, whether to show all of them, whether to require approval for them, newest, first, top comments, all kinds of different things here. Allow embedding. This is an important one. This is whether you want your videos to just live on YouTube, or whether you're okay with somebody taking the URL and embedding it in other websites. I generally allow embedding because I like the idea of the video being made available in as many places as possible. When it's viewed on that website, it still shows as a view on my channel, when it counts the number of views. And then another one here is whether subscribers should be notified when the video becomes available. So when the video upload completes, do I want my subscribers to be automatically informed about that? They'll, I think, receive an email. Here I can choose the category that most appropriately describes the video, where it was shot, the language it's in, the date it was recorded, etc. So hopefully that gives you something of a sense of how easy YouTube is to use. Really very intuitive, free, and potentially very powerful in terms of who you can reach and the ways you can control the various sharing settings for your videos. Hopefully by now you have a bunch of ideas about what you'd like to do online and you're itching to get started. You likely have one final question. Key question number 4. How much will all of this cost and what specialized equipment might you need? Let's talk about the cost of the various types of online presence you might choose: website, blog, YouTube, etc. On the absolutely free end of the spectrum would be a simple website like Craig Anderson's, or the kind of thing I was building on my Weebly demo. This option works well if you're okay with a longer and less memorable website address, often including the name of the service provider, like yourname.weebly.com. If you'd prefer a more personalized website address, a custom URL, like yourname.com or yourname.org, this will typically cost somewhere around $10 to $12 per year. Other free options include a YouTube channel and social media. Free websites often have limits on how big they can be and may require you to put up with ads or other branding appearing on your site. If you want a more sophisticated website with the capacity to store lots of photos, videos, and other content, and with options like e-commerce, the ability to sell things online, you'll need to spring for paid website hosting. With the popular website building and hosting services, you're paying both for the tools to build and manage your site or blog, and for the space where your site lives on the host server. To give you an idea, my Jigsaw hosting service, which allows me to host up to 3 separate websites, costs me $108 per year, and my WordPress hosting subscription for Cello Joy is $99 per year. My custom URLs are registered through a variety of different registrars and cost me $10 to $12 each per year. And as we saw from our exploration of Weebly, the 2 most basic plans there, after the free option, would cost you $96 and $144 per year, respectively. So that should give you a sense of the potential expense of your chosen type of online presence. Whether you choose to build a website or a blog, or to operate a YouTube channel or social media accounts, all of these activities will be done via a browser, like Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. As long as you have a reasonably modern computer and a decent internet connection, you are in business. Where equipment starts to become more of an issue is if you are regularly working with a lot of video. The first issue is what device or devices you'll use to capture your video and accompanying audio. The big decision here is how good you want your video to look and sound. The second issue is how you're going to store and edit such massive files, let's talk through some of your options. The simplest and least expensive approach to video is to use a device you already own, like your smartphone. Only you will be able to determine what video and audio quality you find acceptable. Many smartphones can record quite nice looking video. As long as the lighting is good, they begin to struggle in less than ideal light. Where they really start to fall short is for recording audio. The audio can be significantly improved by attaching an external microphone. If you're recording a lot of speaking, a lav mic, like this Rode Smart Mic for around $80, will do a nice job of improving your audio. And there are also a variety of other types of external mics available for both Apple and Android smartphones, like the Zoom IQ7 for around $100, or the Rode IXY for around $200. High-quality video files are very large, so storage capacity is another area where a smartphone may let you down. Despite its shortcomings, using your phone to record can be a fun way to get started with video content creation. If you'd like a designated entry-level camera, separate from your phone, you might consider something like the Zoom Q4N. It's around $250. It represents an improvement over your smartphone, especially in the audio quality department. While I don't have direct experience of this particular Zoom camera, I did previously own one of its predecessors, the Zoom Q3 HD. The audio was really quite good. The video was admittedly not great. I suspect the Q4N is probably an improvement, although I'm not convinced it would beat the video/audio quality of an iPhone paired with a good external microphone. Another step up would be to use a camcorder, something many folks actually already own for personal use, with an external microphone input, and then paired with an external microphone like the Rode Video Mic, which is around $150. The favorite video recording device for many top YouTubers is a DSLR camera used in video mode. Again, some of you may already own a DSLR camera that you use to take family photos. These cameras can shoot incredible video. They offer bigger and interchangeable lenses and control over the crucial variables like the aperture, how wide the lens opens, shutter speed, how long the lens remains open, ISO, how sensitive the camera is to light, and white balance. With a little practice, your video quality can compete with that of much more expensive professional-grade video cameras. If this is something you want to explore, I can highly recommend something like the Canon T5i Video Creator Kit. For around $700, you get a camera capable of shooting beautiful video and still images, and a Rode Video Mic to deliver crystal clear audio. If you'd like to really maximize both your video and your audio quality, the ultimate approach is to record each of these separately and then combine them in post using video editing software. For my video work, I've chosen to use the Canon T5i DSLR camera that I mentioned previously, while recording my audio using a Tascam DR60D Mark II, a digital audio recorder specifically intended for DSLR video makers, and then a pair of SE Electronics SE5 small diaphragm condenser mics. The Canon T5i is currently selling on Amazon for around $600. The Tascam recorder for around $180, and the SE5s are around $400 a pair. So there's a pretty wide range of options to get into video creation. If video is something you'd like to do, I'd start by considering what you already own. You can get started with the phone in your pocket. Or you might be surprised to discover what great video that rarely used DSLR camera viewers can shoot. Beyond simply recording video, you will also need to consider your video storage and editing needs. I can't emphasize enough that video files are big. Small hard drives and SD cards can very quickly be filled to capacity, and slower computers will struggle to process video during editing and post-production. If your camera records to an SD card, I'd recommend something fast and with a large storage capacity. The SanDisk Extreme Pro is often recommended. You can find great information about SD card performance at the URL on the screen. As for storage capacity, bear in mind that 1 gigabyte fits less than 3 minutes of high-resolution video. In other words, a 16 gigabyte card will hold only about 44 minutes of high-res video. Just as there's a wide range of options for video recording equipment, there are similarly many ways to do your video editing, depending on how sophisticated you want to get. At the simplest end of the spectrum is a suite of basic editing functions built right into YouTube. I have not used this option myself, but if I were starting out now, this would be right at the top of my list to play around with. A similarly accessible tool for Apple users is iMovie, an app that allows you to easily create beautiful and polished looking videos. It's just $4.99 from the App Store. As a PC user, I've opted for, and I love, Cyberlink Power Director. For around $100, this is a full-featured video production tool. I still discover new things I can do with this software every time I use it. If you're looking for full-featured video production software for your Mac, one of the biggest players in this segment is Final Cut Pro. It's about $300. So hopefully that gives you an overview of some of the costs involved and some of the kinds of equipment you might consider investing in, depending on what you'd like to accomplish online. So that brings us to the end of today's Idea Exchange. Hopefully you now feel like you have a variety of answers to the 4 key questions I outlined at the beginning of the session, and are equipped to start your own online adventure. If you'd like to revisit any of the information covered in this session, this video will be posted on the MacPhail Music Learning Lab blog, lab report, at www.macphaillab.report.org.